Flight 229, you're clear for takeoff.
Just like a flight plan, you have to know where you're going and how you will get there when you plan for retirement. Let Ryan Fleming help you chart out a course for your retirement with his intimate knowledge of financial planning and the airline industry. It's time for the Pilot's Advisor.
Hello and welcome to the Pilot's Advisor. I'm Walter Storholt alongside Ryan Fleming, financial advisor at Retire Pilots, serving you all across the world, but currently sort of based out of St. Louis, although he joins us today from Japan. And Ryan, great to talk with you this week. How are you, sir?
Walter, it's always wonderful to talk to you, and I'm back on the road after pretty much being off for a year, sitting in Osaka, Japan right now.
How did it feel to be back in the air behind the controls?
It feels good to get back out on the road just to, see a bunch of my buddies and pilots and stuff like that. But as far as the world goes, it's kind of disappointing to come back out and see that things are still pretty locked down. This job used to be fun, and it just hasn't been fun for a while.
Well, that's too bad. Was the flying part at least fun to be back at?
That was like riding a bike, getting back in the
Okay.
cockpit, and of course I fly the 777, which is just a fantastic airplane. So getting back in the cockpit and flying wasn't really too difficult, but just getting out on the road and seeing friends is the good part.
Fantastic. Well, glad you're able to carve out a little bit of time to join us once again here on the show, and we've got a great episode on tap today. We're going to be talking about the most important part of retirement planning. What do different experts in financial planning across the country and maybe even worldwide, I suppose, say about that topic? And does Ryan agree with some of these things being pegged as the most important part of retirement planning? And of course, we'll give Ryan a chance to answer that question on his own as well as we work through the episode today. But before all of that, a quick check of what's in the news. And since it is sort of tax season at the time of this recording, Ryan thought it'd be appropriate for a good old IRS headline. The IRS has discovered that they mailed out letters with incorrect data to many households who received the prepayment on their child tax credit in 2021. This could create significant headaches for these families as they file their taxes this spring, but the IRS isn't sure at this point how many families received incorrect information. So it's like, there's a problem. We're not sure how widespread or how it affects you or who it affects, but just letting everybody know there's an issue out there.
That's interesting because I hadn't seen that headline. However, it being tax season, and I know everyone loves taxes. And of course, I've never seen the government screw up anything. Sorry, I had to add that in there. But I'm actually finding a lot of my clients are having withholding issues this year. And I don't know what it's caused by because I know they changed the tables back in, I guess, 19 or something like that. I'm not a CPA, but I'm finding out that a lot of pilots, especially at FedEx right now, they did something to where people haven't been withholding enough money that they normally have. So they're having to pay a lot of money back in taxes that they weren't expecting. And I'm finding that it's happening for couples where both couples work. So like, in other words, if you being the working father put in married and then filed jointly, and then of course your wife put in married, filed jointly, for whatever reason, that's coming back to where they're not withholding enough. And there's different aspects of it. I actually asked Zach Smith at Pilot Tax what was going on, and he said, yes, it's a major problem right now. But, nobody likes surprises. And this IRS quote in the headlines just kind of reminded me of that, nobody likes surprises. And then when it comes to taxes and then you having to owe a lot more than you were expecting, that's never fun.
No fun at all. That is for sure, Ryan, and something that we want to make sure is not going to be the case with our particular tax situation. So if you've got questions about your taxes and you want to put your financial plan on autopilot at the same time, no better person to reach out to than Ryan Fleming and the team at Retire Pilots. Mentioned the great partnership there as we talk about it a lot here on the show with Pilot Tax. So if you want to integrate your tax plan and your financial planning together, get in touch by calling or texting Ryan at 843-475-3038, or you can go to retirepilots.com to get in touch as well. All right, so that's our interesting in the news headline. Tax season, never fun to go through, especially when there's a bunch of question marks, perhaps, about your situation. But let's get into the meat and potatoes of today's program, and it's a good one today, I think, Ryan, because I think we should all realize that, planning for retirement's a bit complex. There's lots of different moving parts, factors, variables to consider, and if you adjust any of those variables, it can kind of impact the end result, or not kind of, but dramatically impact the end result. But is there one part of the process that's most important? Well, we went around and assembled several opinions on the topic from across the internet, and we're going to see if this advice hits the mark, Ryan, or if it needs a little further exploration, and then eventually get your opinion on this as well. So our first commentary comes from Tom Mark of Jocelyn Roads, and Tom said, the most important part of retirement planning is deciding what you want to do with your time. How does that strike you?
Well, I'd like to agree to disagree with that. Most people don't realize that Walter doesn't really give me a heads up on what we're going to talk about. I get thrown into the fire sometimes. But I would say on this one, the most important part of retirement planning is actually saving money, because a lot of the other things can be figured out if you have money saved and then figure out how to make it last or what to use it on. But if you haven't saved any money, you got a lot bigger problems than to figure out what you're going to do with your time, because you're probably going to be working.
Good point. Yeah. By the way, none of these statements are necessarily bad advice, I would think. Feel free to disagree with that, Ryan. But when we're coming to talk about the most important part of retirement planning, that is definitely maybe you're seeing that as maybe not the most essential thing to be focusing on. So,
and I'll add to that too. I don't want to beat up that comment too much, but no, it is actually very true. Like, you do have to decide and paint a picture of what your retirement's going to look like. If you haven't really thought about what your retirement is going to look like, then we don't really know how much money you're going to need, what you're going to do with it. Is travel going to be involved? Have you talked to your spouse about what she or he thinks about a retirement? These are all things that you really need to start thinking about well before you retire, so that we can build out that retirement plan in an efficient manner.
By the way, the catching you off guard on these things, just think of it as the simulator. I'm just throwing little problems at you that you've got to, figure out and problem solve as we go through. So.
Oh, we're losing oil pressure in the number one engine.
There you go. Yes,
there we go.
That's the equivalent. Yeah, exactly. All right. Ron Lieber of the New York Times said, the most important advice about saving for retirement is this: start now. I have a feeling this one would rank high on your list.
I love it. I absolutely love it, because it's never too early to start. And those that are behind on retirement savings, there's always an excuse. Well, I have this, or, well, I need to do this first, and no, you need to start saving now. Start now. Take massive action. And like anything in life, whether it's running a business, whether it's becoming a better pilot, getting in better shape, it's about implementation. It's about doing it. And I actually had a conversation with one of my clients the other day where they're having issues, finding money to save when they have plenty of income. And we were discussing what's the definition of insanity. Do you know what the definition of insanity is, Walter?
Yeah, doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results.
Exactly. And we were having that discussion, and it was very telltale. So yes, absolutely. The best part and probably the most important advice about saving for retirement is to start now. Take action.
Fantastic. That's a good one. All right. A financial advisor in New York said the most important part of retirement planning is understanding how much income you will need to live comfortably.
I think if you don't have a budget and you don't have an income plan, it's pretty hard to, build out the facts of how your retirement is going to look. So information is definitely good. Also, having more money than you need makes a lot of that planning easier. So, building that snowball in saving for retirement is so important. And that's why it's so important to start, as early as possible as well. And I try to tell people this, like, saving money for retirement, as hard as that seems, that's actually the easy part. The hard part is the distribution side of retirement, where you're trying to take what you've saved over all these years and trying to make it last, and being able to pay the bills and travel or whatever else your goals are for retirement, and not have retirement stress. Because the worst part about retirement stress, you can't go back to work. You can't stay out on the road a couple extra days. You can't pick up a trip to fix the problems because you're retired.
That's a great point. The easy fixes, perhaps, if we want to call them that, aren't necessarily as easy to find. And so that's a really good one to remember. All right, as we're talking about the most important part of retirement planning, this one made me chuckle a little bit, Ryan. Betterment Robo-Advisor. So I don't know if this is someone who works for Betterment or if the actual robo-advisor, the robot, is saying this, but either way, an easy way to poke a little fun at that. How much you would like to spend during your retirement is the most important driver of your retirement plan, but it is often the hardest part to predict.
1000001 Any questions?
I love it. That's a perfect response. Fantastic. That one kind of goes hand in hand with the income. That's the other side of the coin, right? Is then the spending plan.
Absolutely. And, just knowing, and when we talk about that income plan, it's knowing exactly what your budget looks like, what your bills are, and then coming up with a distribution strategy to max that, and also being able to let more of your money grow for you over retirement.
Thanks for listening to the Pilot's Advisor. Hey, if you're ready to have clarity and thrive in your retirement, you're in the right place, and I've got another resource for you to check out. Go to retirepilots.com. That's retirepilots.com. And look right there on the homepage, you'll be able to click Get My Free Toolkit. What this is going to do is help you get for free Ryan's Retirement Toolkit. This is going to include his 2 books, The Pilot's Advisor and Pilots Retire Early, revealing the 9 critical decisions when retiring and the 7 lessons to save your retirement. If you're ready to retire early or engage the autopilot on your 401k, these are the books for you, and this is the toolkit for you. Not only does it include the books, but lots of other goodies packed into this free toolkit that'll be sent to you ASAP. All you have to do is go to retirepilots.com. That's retirepilots.com. Click on the Send My Toolkit button, and we'll get it in the mail to you shortly. It's a great starting place for any pilot to begin their retirement journey. Go to retirepilots.com.
One other one that comes to mind here was from an Investopedia writer, Julia Kagan, said a proper portfolio allocation that balances the concerns of risk, aversion, and return objectives is arguably the most important step in retirement planning.
So I don't even know what she just said, because I'm sure a lot of my clients would love to know, like, asset allocation, risk aversion, return objectives.
That one had some buzzwords in there.
Yeah. So let me. Can you say that to me one more time?
Yeah.
Can you read it off?
Yeah. All right. Here we go. It's a proper portfolio allocation that balances the concerns of risk aversion and return objectives is arguably the most important step in retirement planning.
Okay, I'm going to try to answer this one seriously now. This is something that is a very, very important aspect of retirement planning, because consistency of returns is a major factor in retirement. And let's take right now where the market's in a down position, but you still need the money to pay your bills each month. So you're going to have to actually sell more of your stuff to get that $5,000 or whatever it is you want it to spit out each month. So that consistency of returns is a big deal. The problem is from all the analysis, we're starting to see that you might need a little bit more equity exposure in your retirement plan to continue to get those safe withdrawal rates. And we're looking at inflation now. We're looking at the cost of gas. With inflation, the cost of gas, the cost of food, everything hasn't been a real big topic that many retirees have thought about for years, because it's been less than 3%. I mean, we always consider inflation to be about 3%, and it's been less than that. So it's really helped our clients that have been in retirement, because it hasn't been a major. Well, guess what? It's a major issue now. So if you haven't considered inflation and the effects, it's time to start really digging into that. And I'll probably have a webinar coming out in the next month on the piece of inflation and taxes in your retirement.
Oh, that'd be great to see when it comes out. Let us know. Ryan will certainly point people in the right direction to check that out. Yeah, inflation used to be that thing that we just sort of said, okay, yeah, this is what it is. It's not something to think about. It's the silent killer, blah, blah, blah. And now it's actually right in front of our faces. So definitely finally getting its day in the sun after many years of not being a very sexy topic, if you will. Last but not least, let's see if you agree with this one, Ryan. From Mark Holbert of MarketWatch, picking the right planner and advisor can make all the difference.
Well, I do agree with that. I think that you need to find somebody that you trust, you're comfortable with, somebody that knows your lifestyle, maybe knows about your job. Because if you're having to reinvent the wheel all the time, then they might not have a real good feeling about what your lifestyle is. And I think that's one thing that we definitely have at the Pilot's Advisor that's great is I know your benefits. I know your lifestyle. I know your 401k plan. So we can really focus on the other details. You know what your goals are, what your family goals are, what you want to do for your kids. Do you want to leave a legacy? But you definitely need to spend the right time and find the right advisor that you're comfortable with in retirement.
Well, Ryan, you gave us a pretty good idea already of how you would answer this question, but I'll ask it one more time. How would you answer the question of the most important part of retirement planning? What is it?
Well, I hate to, beat a dead horse, but it's start to save, aggressively save, because if you are ahead of the game and you have, a lot of money saved, it makes all these other issues go away or not be as much of a factor. But when you haven't saved and you don't have that pot of money working for you and you're behind the power curve and you can't really fulfill your budget, you have a distribution strategy that's not going to last for 25, 30 years. I don't want anybody to be stressed. And if I can help people or push them a little bit in their 40s and 50s and early 60s so that they don't have any stress in retirement, I'm going to do it. And that's why I talk to all my clients about tough love. I mean, I got to be honest with you. And I got to tell you if you're behind or if you need to push or squeeze the turnip a little bit more. And I hope to think that you'll thank me later.
Well, if you need some help guiding through retirement, getting to that important date, but then also a plan to get you all the way through it, don't hesitate to reach out to Ryan and the team at Retire Pilots. You can get in touch by going to retirepilots.com, download or sign up to get your retirement toolkit, a kit that's packed with lots of great information to help pilots and others plan for your retirement future. That's at retirepilots.com. You can also call or text Ryan again at 843-475-3038. And there you have it, some of the most important parts of planning for retirement. Before we race off for the end of the episode, Ryan, it's time to get to know you a little bit better.
Oh, no.
It's getting to know you time.
All right, this one might cause a fight in the studio here, Ryan, but luckily we're recording, thousands of miles away from one another, so our studio, we're not actually physically connected here. But how do you feel about putting pineapple on pizza?
Pineapple on pizza. Well, I've had pineapple on my pizza because my daughter loves the Hawaiian pizza.
Mm-hmm.
I would never personally order it, but I do find myself from time to time sneaking over to her pizza that she ordered to just sample it a little bit. So I'm okay with pineapple on pizza.
You're kind of lukewarm on it. It sounds like.
I wouldn't order it, but I don't mind eating it on occasion. And of course, Daddy's little girl, you got to make her happy. So whatever she wants.
I see. All right. Well, I guess we won't fight over that since you were sort of like, not a fan, but I'll eat it if it's there. Those weren't fighting words then. So I'm disappointed in you that you would allow that and let your daughter, you do that to herself. That's just awful. I can't believe you'd let her have pineapple on her pizza. You should teach her better.
Well, if you've seen me, being like 10, 15 pounds overweight, I'll pretty much eat anything, unfortunately.
Oh, too funny. No, I'm just messing with you. I'm allergic to pineapple, so I've always been very against pineapple on pizza anyway, but it also just sounds terrible. So I'm on that side of the fence. But you like what you like, so we'll allow it, Ryan. It is your show after all, so we'll let you take the win on the pineapple on the pizza from time to time. Fantastic. Well, we appreciate it, Ryan. Thank you for joining us on the show. And hey, we'll have another episode ready to come out here in a week or two. And until then, enjoy your time in Japan.
Thank you very much, Walter. I will enjoy my time in Japan. I'm going to go fly to another country and be on lockdown, which I know our listeners know about at this point in time. So I have to ask a favor of you, Walter.
Yes.
Tomorrow, I believe it is, and of course we're one day ahead, but tomorrow I think is St. Patrick's Day, which is one of my favorite holidays. Please go have fun on St. Patrick's Day and go drink a green beer for me.
Oh my goodness! All right, I will do my best to try and fulfill that request. I mean,
right.
I don't know if we'll be going out. I may have to put some dye into into a beer here at the house, but we'll see. I'll get you some way, shape, or form a green beer.
All right, I appreciate it.
Awesome. Thanks, Ryan. We appreciate it, and we'll talk to you next time. Thanks, everybody, for listening to another edition of the Pilot's Advisor.
Information is for illustrative purposes only and does not constitute tax, investment, or legal advice. Always consult with a qualified investment, legal, or tax professional before taking any action.